morning, Ergo, and community, and everybody out there watching today. Kushti, Thomas, Odie, Grayman, Dimitri, good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Hi everyone, doing well, doing well. How about you?
Oh, hanging in there, hanging in there. Trying to get my bearings from the drama of the last couple days, but hey.
Oh, but enjoy it. I mean, it's the first drama probably since CoinMarketCap, so like in 2 years.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, not very dramatic at all in comparison with some communities like Bitcoin. So they have quite funny kind of civil war in the community again. Monero, yeah, always something dramatic. Yeah, so I think, we can actually learn from those communities, right? So, in the first place to focus on vision. So not sure about Bitcoin community, but yeah, Monero is quite awesome about that.
Right. Yeah. See, our drama seems to be just based on getting screwed out there in the with central exchanges. So it is what it is.
Yeah, but I think many people around can actually get, some, let's say, social capital, right? Popularity, by battling with those.
No, I agree. I think it shows the community.
Corrupt. So yeah, I mean it's for everyone's profit, right? At this point. So yeah.
No, yeah.
But by spreading truth, you also can actually get some personal popularity, right, and also polarize Ergo.
Yeah. No. Agree. And I guess should we recap, Kushti, for people who don't know or haven't been following Twitter? There's some people that aren't on Twitter.
Yeah, but I think all the people on the call probably know everything, right? But yeah, for others, please provide.
So there's an ongoing chat with HTC and Telegram with some community members in there, and it became apparent in September that we were put on a special special treatment, special something tag on our account for HTC for having low volume. And they claimed that they sent us an email back a couple months ago, but could not be found in the EF email. And on top of that, that's not the point of contact anyway of the signer of the contract. So they completely blew on how they would have done that in the first place. So there was a lot of back and forth about clarity on what the requirements are. They're kind of shifty about what those things are and how to do them. No help offered, no escalation. We were teamed up with our contact point named Jackie in Telegram, and Jackie continuously, I'd say, stonewalled us in our questions of clarity. Hey, I'm not a decision maker. I can't make those decisions. And sorry, I was letting somebody in. And kind of forcing us down a path of, what do we do? What can we do? So in the back room, we were connected with somebody who could connect us to somebody on the inside, essentially. And that inside person was the head of marketing at HTX. And the way from our screenshots that I haven't shown yet, that we still have some screenshots left, it became apparent that there was a fee involved. And initially, there were talks about, hey, give this much and do a competition, and you can stop your delisting. And then it turned into from the actual exchange member head of listing posting a screenshot that he had with a liaison between us, where he said something to the extent of, $30,000, that will only delay your delisting for 14 days. And we want $100,000 to put it off for now, essentially. So then it becomes apparent to us that these are bullshit marketing reasons to have a fee, right? They're marketing excuses, complete hogwash and complete bullshit. It's a straight up extortion, right? We want money from you. We're going to call it a marketing fee, and then we won't delist you. So that's where we're at. And we've posted the happening with the first tweet, and then we posted a little of the chat with the second one, and then we have this screenshot that we'll put out probably later today with the rest of the chat, so you guys can see exactly how that works. Absolutely disgusting. It's mob-tastics, it's extortion, and I'm surprised at how many people actually put up with this and probably pay the fee just to be listed and continuously pay the fee. You know, when you deal with people like that, you're just at their will, you're at their whim. Whenever they want money from you because they can threaten to delist you, you know, you have to pay. And Ergo was not going to do that. And, you know, that's where we're at.
Isn't it kind of like dealing with terrorists? Isn't it? Isn't that like, you know, we don't deal with terrorists, and that's why? Because you pay terrorists one time and they'll ask for more every single time?
Exactly, Dan. Exactly. Yeah, you don't know. You can't do business with somebody like that.
I can hop in here really quick. I just want to say, you know, this reminds me of like a time when, you know, like T-Mobile, I had this phone plan, right? And then they completely screwed me on the phone plan where they swapped out the phone, basically like changed the number mid-swap and then claimed that like I didn't even trade in the device. And then they basically screwed me over for like 6 months straight, like just, and this kind of reminds me of the same thing where they just choose these smaller cap chains to just basically racketeer. And, you know, this is alleged like halfway kind of like conspiratorial thing, but there's proof to back it up because it's happened before. I just commented on one of their posts, you know, they're doing an airdrop. Coincidentally, they're doing an airdrop now, a community airdrop on HTX. And I would be willing to bet that that's what they're using these quote unquote marketing funds for. So I think it's just a complete racket that backdoors liquidity to insiders.
Your claim is probably has some truth there, Thomas. I think there was a post the other day about somebody tracking some wallets about some airdrops from an exchange doing those kind of promotions and seeing that they went to, you know, linked wallets that belong to people in the exchange. So, yeah. Sorry, Christy, go for it.
I mean, you know, one of the reasons why, you know, I've always been against airdrops is because, you know, I mean, you know, why would you want to hold on to something that you got for free? You know, I mean, it's an airdrop. So most of the time, what happens is you do an airdrop, you get a little bit of trading activity. Most of it is going to be people kind of like, you know, ping-ponging it between themselves and then dumping it. And that's it, you know, and that's really what it's about. A lot of these centralized exchanges, what they'll do is they will create these fake volumes because they'll do these fake airdrops and all this bullshit where they just, you know, they just kind of like, you know, create artificial volume to show like, oh, well, look, we have $100 million of trading volume today. Well, like, yeah, but it was no bullshit. It was basically like, you know, the same people buying the same stuff and selling the same stuff to each other. It's not organic volume, and there's only very few of them.
That's one amazing thing about Ergo. I do a lot of perp trading and stuff, and honestly, since there's like no way to trade Ergo really, besides like the Ergo options market, which isn't really strongly used on chain, if you look at the Ergo price action compared to Cardano, it correlates pretty heavily. It's a 0.8 correlation because a lot of the liquidity from Cardano funnels into Ergo. But basically, like, knowing that if you are somebody that has a lot of money, if you put it into Ergo, it's a very strong reserve asset because there's no real like fuddling around with the funds on chain. Basically, how you guys are talking about right now, like the wash trading basically, and then it fudges all the numbers and stuff. But if you look at Ergo, like, it's found a pretty strong bottom where it's at. The community just continues to keep growing, and even though the price action isn't amazing right now, I mean, the worst we could probably see from here is like another 20% decline at the absolute worst bear case, like complete S&P collapse type deal, because it's such like an isolated ecosystem, which is beneficial, but then also in a way it does kind of like limit things, kind of in the same sense of like how Monero, I was talking to some of the people from Monero, and they have no crypto to crypto ramps. They only have on ramps and off ramps. So realistically, like Monero's price action is just from liquidity moving from global reserve assets into Monero to be used on the dark web to purchase items, and then off ramped through crypto exchanges. So there's really absolutely no utility for Monero besides illicit trades from what I'm seeing, at least. That's like my kind of like take on it. And Ergo has a similar type of price move, like not exactly in the same use case sense of Monero, because it's used for like clean activities. Like for instance, like the Mu finance market, people are able to list up verifiable goods on there where there's like verified members of the Ergo community that are actually listing products on there. So their reputation is on the line. So it's like type deal. And that's where I think Ergo excels compared to a lot of these other cryptos like that, because the community is so strong. Like when Monero is getting 51% attacked, there wasn't any coalition of miners coming together to try to use the mining power to mine Cubic and then dump Cubic back onto the market in response to that. But the Ergo community would be doing something exactly like that from the like 3 years I've been involved with Ergo. Like that's just the type of community we have, where we're not just going to stand for nonsense like getting extorted blatantly by HTX. Just like Andy said, it's basically just like mob level extortion, like they would used to do in like the 60s. They used to just come into your place, be like, well, you better pay me or you're going to get a little visit, and then just come in with baseball bats.
Well, you know, if you don't pay me, get a little visit from the listing fairy. That's basically how it works with some of these sexes. And you know, you make a good point about Ergo. Well, first of all, I mean, there's a few things you can tell about Ergo. Of course, we all wish that we had, you know, more community participants, well, more people in the ecosystem. You know, more holders of Ergo, kind of getting nice deep volume in and all this good stuff, which will come. But also the other point that you made is it's actually something that me and Quality Extreme over there were talking about. I think probably Mike today, his yesterday, or whatever it is. So, you know, but without going into too much detail, there was one point where I was trying to get, you know, quite a large amount of Ergo together for something. The problem was that they're just not, you know, there's no like insane Ergo whales out there. It's all just really distributed. And nobody wants to sell. You know, nobody wants to sell, and nobody wants to do this thing where it's like, yeah, you know, well, we can give you, you know, like 1% of the supply for a discount price if you do, you know, X for us. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing for everybody. You know, there's some projects they can benefit from, you know, bringing some powerful players into the ecosystem and just kind of giving them some of the supply, you know, to basically like, you know, in a way like an equity investment, although you don't want to go down that route or else you're going to be more, you know, acting more like a security, but still, you know, just bring in people into the ecosystem, kind of give, you know, skin in the game. If you want to bring somebody big in, you want to give them something, you know, something nice so that they have, you know, they basically have a vested interest. But with Ergo, it's very difficult because, like I said, you know, there's no big pockets of it. You know, the EF is not holding on to a bunch. You know, nobody here is really holding on to a huge amount. And the people that are holding on to any sizable amount, they just don't want to sell. And so in the end, you just basically have to just go in the market and you have to buy it, right? You just have to buy the stuff. And not only you have to buy the stuff, you have to buy the stuff in parts. You have to have this, you know, this whole, you know, market making purchase strategy to acquire any kind of sizable amount. And even then it takes time. So yeah, it's kind of we're talking about, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because on one hand, if somebody if like an entity comes to you, somebody comes to you, or if a group comes to you and say, hey guys, we want to like invest into this, but we need you to get us like a large sum, and we need some sort of good entry point. You can't really do that with Ergo because it's so distributed. So on one hand, you can do that. On the other hand, you have very much the actual turnover in Ergo is very, very much organic. And I mean, I guess that's the whole point, right? I mean, it's not like you can't have both. You either have this really great organic system where you have a real digital cash that nobody really owns, nobody's really the kingmaker of, or you have a system where you have big enclaves and big pockets of it, and you can do more things with it, but it's not as decentralized, and it's not as it's not as resilient, I guess, to things like Ergo is.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yes. So, just a couple of points. So in the first place, this called marketing fee, right, by HTX, but clearly it's not. So if it's marketing fee of 30K to be paid for postponing the listing, then what kind of marketing is that?
No, hey boss, it's not a marketing. It's not a bribe, boss. It's a marketing fee. Wink, wink, boss.
Yeah. But. Yeah, but then bribery. So yeah, I suspect that it's so it wasn't maybe just extortion from the exchange, probably is as well, right? But also probably managers would cut their part on the way, right? So we had experience back in 2020 when we won. How was it called? Like community vote on some Asian exchange, right? And we were winners. Won our some other blockchain project. Forgotten which one. And upon conditions of the exchange voting, so we had to pay 100,000 ERC even to exchange users to be airdropped, right? It was quite a big exchange, so we agreed. And then we realized that they actually airdropped just half of it, and half was just stolen on. So I suspect here is the same. So you pay 100K marketing fee, right? And then they are dropping maybe 30 or 50K, and the rest is just going to certain pockets. Right. So that is the reason I believe to spread awareness, right? So it's not just about some exchange with some shady practices. Basically, every centralized exchange, right, is doing something shady. After all, that's what they're doing. So from dealing with them. For many years, it's always bizarre experience, right? Totally bizarre. When we have also bribery, right, and people aiming to steal something, so it's I believe in HTX best interest, right, to clean all the trash also. So it's needed for them in the first place, and we are helping them.
On-ramps and off-ramps, why do we even need centralized exchanges anymore? They're a pain in the ass.
That's
their user base is not very sophisticated, right? And probably not very wealthy. The only right. So we should be reaching out to people in the real world instead of these weird crypto exchanges, maybe.
Yeah, that's actually the second point. Yeah, so these days, so I'm watching all that crypto space, visiting some Web3 events recently. Total scam trash show. So going to Korea Blockchain Week, I guess mostly would be the same kind of experience, right? Of Web3 as a scam show, but yeah, it's decentralized, I have to admit. So I mean, very different parties are scamming each other in truly decentralized way. But yeah, it's still scam show after all, right? So what do we need in this environment? Quite toxic, probably. Kind of Monero way, probably, right, from what I've heard. So, care about on-ramp, off-ramp, maybe create more tutorials, spread awareness about existing options, articles, so on, and inform people, and then show people from the real world use cases, right? So recently I've got some developers, friends of mine into Ergo. Yeah, so they also bought a few tens of thousands of Ergo on the way. And also developing, so yeah, truly committed after all. but yeah, so I think after some experiments, it's time to make this scalable. So when I talk with friends and so on, so first they're very skeptical, of any crypto, because yeah, it's considered as something scammy all the time. Oh, we have
I'm
Ruben.
just gonna say, from like a real world use case here, I've been getting my buddies to like pay me in Ergo and stuff, and it's just been hard to on-ramp them on, because I don't know exactly who was saying it. I think it might have been Gray Man, about how it's hard to like on-ramp people onto the platform. It's not like impossible, but it just takes, like, for instance, Cardano's Atrium, right? That's a decentralized application that they have built specifically for teaching people about the blockchain and then on-ramping them into the project. And that has been doing pretty well, actually. It's done pretty decent numbers in volume, not on like its own token, but in bringing people into Cardano. And I think if Ergo has something like that, just simply because it's so complex. Like, if you're not a developer, especially to setting up like a Rosen node, if you don't have the Docker program, if you're not a developer, it's very, very complicated to set it up, especially with like the servers and everything too. So a lot of the people like that are just trying to use it for peer-to-peer payments, they have no real way to like achieve like a yield out of it fully, like besides things like Rosenbridge and stuff like that, or lending protocols, which then takes like time to learn how to figure out how to do everything. And that's like what Ergo, I think, is like built for, mainly just peer-to-peer lending and transactions and such like that.
You're on mute, Kushti.
I think those are great points, right? And the idea about website or whatever, I don't know, maybe set of videos and so on. So it looks great. And we need to continue work on Ergo book, right? Sadly, there is no time, but yeah, I'm planning to finish white paper on input ordering blocks in early October, and then can jump on the Ergo book, and then but it would be maybe a bit technical for crypto people, but then we can do something more digestible, right? So the idea of mine was to do something like mastering Bitcoin, but simpler, right, and also more philosophical, because we have a lot of philosophical stuff published by community members. So it's time to compile all those ideas, right? Monetary related aspects and so on. But yeah, so it would be maybe a bit hard, for normie to get into all that stuff. But yeah, then we can create something more digestible for normies, newcomers, general public, right? So yeah, and well, we have Ruben from Firo here to share his experience. Ruben joined. Ruben with us?
Hello. Hi. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. A long time not here.
Yeah. Sorry about. I'm actually like on the move now, and I saw the call open, and I just thought I'll join by and say hello. But yeah, I mean, we've been dealing with HTX for a very long time, and I mean, obviously under Justin Sun, it's a different exchange altogether. It's still a blow, but in a way, I'm kind of glad, but at the same time, also because a lot of swap providers rely on HTX. But you're totally right. I also run another project called Panda Protocol. I'm the president of the foundation, and they've also been asking us to, hey, put in 50,000 or 100,000 marketing so that we can remove the ST tag. It does sound a bit of a shakedown, and so for Firo, I asked them, look, is it about liquidity? And at first they didn't want to tell us until I kept on pushing. And then they said, oh, it's for compliance, it's because of privacy. These are issues that you cannot resolve. And therefore we have delisted you. But I'm asking that, well, why is Monero still on HTX? I mean, if you want to talk about compliance, we actually have like more compliance tools. We have exchange addresses, which means that they cannot receive any direct unshielded funds. We've done all of that, but they didn't want to use it, and now they're just like delisting us and putting that stupid notification that is because of liquidity and trading volumes, when it is very clear it is not. So yeah, that's kind of like my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. So yes. So I'm pretty sure it's not about volume and liquidity. So in one batch they delisted Komodo, Ergo, Aleph Zero, and Firo. Yeah. So no, maybe because of some privacy issues, but then why not to talk about that directly? So when they put this ST tag, so I made screenshots that like 40 assets or 50 without, right? So like 20 more with tag by volume, and 50 without any tag, even including known and officially confirmed scams like Luna Classic, right, which founder pleaded guilty in August with a lot of charges like fraud related and more, right? But it's still traded there with volume like 2K days, so like times less than Ergo had, like 10 times less, and it doesn't have any ST tag even, and so on. So well, even projects like Maker and so on, so they had smaller volume, right, than Ergo. So it's clearly not about volume, liquidity. So but they are not telling the truth even, right, behind.
Yeah, but the motor doesn't.
How are you guys doing? It's sorry to interrupt. It's Navjeet from Iagon. I'm a founder as well, and I've been personally in the space since 2013, and our project's been running since 2018. So I'm very familiar with how the bureaucracy of centralized exchanges work, and we've been also through something similar ourselves, and hopefully things work out. But for example, BitGet that we're listed on, right? There's a lot of requirements and ambiguous requirements because, first you sign the contract with the centralized exchanges, which stipulates certain things. But sometimes what they do, they have their own policies which are listed outside of the contract, and they can change it however they want. But there's no standardization of what the requirements are, and they just decide what those standards are. And for example, trading depth is one thing, on the plus and minus side. How much liquidity should be on the exchange and things like that. Although the contracts stipulate something different, sometimes when you go get kind of a warning, an ST, it's basically like much more higher requirements than the contract. And we've kind of done our own due diligence through, for example, I'm going to speak just on Bitget, but I already know HTX. We never wanted to we've been offered to list on HTX multiple times, but from my understanding, there's a lot of wash trading on HTX, especially with the trading depth. So how you can realize that there's wash trading is just simply look at the trading depth. If you have a token that has plus minus side, 1K or 2K and doing tens of millions of volume, that's 100% wash trading, right? That's not organic volume. And for example, Bitget, we got an alert. We had some requirements, but so many tokens don't have the same requirements. There's no standardization. They can just pull numbers out of their ass, right? And to get that requirement met. We recently got basically a notice from Bitget to meet a requirement. On their policies page, for example, it says 7 days notice and then 7 days ratification, right? So you have 7 plus 7 days. But they only gave us 6 days. Even though we met the compliance, they said that, that we will be delisted from Bitget. And of course, like we have our own processes of how we're going to go about it, right? And I think I encourage also, and I think Ergo's, foundational wise, organizational wise is different from Iagon, but I obviously encourage Ergo to take the legal route. I know that HTX is not really regulated, so it's harder in a sense. There are exchanges that are regulated, so they have a duty to the consumers and the users. Like for example, Kraken is regulated in Europe. They can't just do this willy-nilly, right? They have to have certain requirements to protect their users. Whereas HTX, Bitget, and all these other exchanges don't have these regulations. So they can just make up their, rules on the fly, even though they contradict their policies that are online or the contracts that they sign. That's just my input. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Navjit. I think one of the key takeaways here that we've seen from what we've experienced, as well as what Ruben and Navjit have, is that it's not only that these obscure kind of we change willy-nilly requirements as we can. It's a fundamental operation of the central exchange, right? And the idea is that they purposely arrange this framework so that they can put projects in a corner with seemingly no way out. As we've experienced, there was a dead end. They would not escalate. They would not let us talk to anybody else. It was just, you're delisted. There's nothing you can do. We don't care what you're saying that we didn't notify you or anything like that, or what you heard from Dr. Navjit. Same thing. And they steer you to this direction of being helpless and needing a way out. And then all of a sudden, through our experience, it was a backroom talk, which was very crazy. I don't know if Ruben or Dr. Navjit, they came straight at you and said this, but to us, it was a backroom talk that said, oh, $30,000, $100,000, and you won't be delisted anymore. So I can imagine for a project that has a couple $1 million in their coffers, right? That's maybe a drop in the bucket to keep their operation alive for that. So they just pay and they keep doing it and keep going. So the big issue here is that there is a framework at these exchanges that actually steer you in this direction to exploit you, right, and extract funds from you. And that's the big issue, I feel. And that needs to be revealed, and people need to post their things. The Sigmanauts are actually with Joe and with Mark are creating a GitHub that we can have a dump of this kind of thing. So you guys can dump your sleazy offers from central exchanges that come here anonymously on the GitHub, and we can make a record of this and try to hold these guys accountable.
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's needed, right, in the space. And hopefully, you know, that's cleaned up by itself with the regulation that's coming in. But it's taken so long, and it's quite frustrating that, you know, there's a double standard with certain projects, and, you know, it's not the same for everyone. It's not consistent, and that's the problem here, right? When we're looking back at this due diligence, like, you know, you can see so many multiple projects that aren't meeting the requirements that they're stipulating to us. And, you know, they're still having, well, but why aren't they delisting them? Just because they have so much wash trading going on that they're getting their fees that's necessary, and they don't really care about anything else.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, and I've got a contact of some investigative journalist in crypto from Wall Street Journal. So, Ruben and Navjit, if you wanna see if you have some materials to share, yeah, please do.
Will do. I mean, you can reach out to me on email if you'd like. Here's my email. You know, feel free.
All right, and we're also reaching smaller media and so on, right? Still need to gather a bit more on our side, but yeah, you guys, Ruben, Navjit, feel free to share what you might have also. Ruben, I think you have a lot of stories, probably, right? Not sure how much you can share.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's a lot out there in the space. And, you know, at the same time, when you're a smaller project, you know, you don't want to be throwing everything out there, because the next person's going to look at it and be like, you know, or the next exchange is going to look at it. Do we want to have business? And we're kind of like held at their, they have all the power, right? In terms of listing or not listing, delisting or not listing, delisting or not delisting, right? And they have a lot of users, and we want to try to get to the users and create more traction for our project and awareness. And it's kind of like, it's hard not to, it's hard to share some things, but of course, if there is a delisting, we have to, you know, and it's important that we try to share as much as possible, because it goes around, like you said, like if we're not able to share everything, think about all the projects that don't share everything, right? This happens a lot in this space, a lot, and we need to get down to the bottom and get rid of this stuff.
True. Sorry.
Yeah, one of the things I just wanted to make clear, QX said, you know, 30,000 or 100,000. The offer to the Ergo Foundation was 100,000. The 30,000 was the back channel telling us this has been going on for at least a month or two, and numerous projects are having to pay 30,000 to stay listed on HTX. So, I mean, it's happening, and I'm assuming most people are just paying the funds, but for the marketing fee or whatever. But just so that's clear.
All right, and so the question from Navjit is how to live without exchanges. So then, yeah, let's discuss that. So one option is on-ramps of ramps, right, bypassing centralized exchanges. Another option is to use decentralized exchanges and so on. So Richie, you want to share some thoughts with us, maybe?
Hello, yeah. Let me know you can hear me.
Perfectly, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of moving into a decentralized paradigm in future. So let me give you some examples now. If you look at the Binance behavior and CC behavior in general. So as you know, the Hyperliquid appeared maybe 1 year ago, and it's challenging Binance dominance, right? And if you look at the CZ behavior, he actually started launching recently projects that are similar to Hyperliquid. So he wants to get into that space. He's terrified that he may lose dominance. So he launched 2 projects, and obviously there is also PoW going on, and they're like Hyperliquid clones. And actually there are quite many Hyperliquid clones now appear. So without going to that detail, so my opinion is that the space in general definitely moves away from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges. The more liquidity will be moving to DEXs, and that business model will be dominating. You may say that yes, the newcomers and retail, they still need centralized exchanges to on-ramp. They don't know how to do it, and I agree. We are in a transition period, but the future is definitely clear. Where is it moving? So we have Aerodrome on Base now. Coinbase is fully integrating its DEXs on its. Yeah, it's kind of like DEX. It's a centralized L2, but it still has a decentralized access to it, right? So you don't need to do KYC. Hyperliquid is a very strong player, and then, like I said, some big players are also trying to embrace that business model. So, to me, especially for exchange like HTX, which is honestly speaking, it's dead to me. Like it never had any Ergo volume, it never had Ergo liquidity. It does damage us in the media when we create all this fuss about the listing. Obviously, when the listing news hit the Twitter, many people may say, "Oh, so the project is on its downside," and they react. So I see more negativity from this rather than positivity. And like I say, yeah. So to me, all the funds that all the sketchy exchanges asking, we would rather be putting into our products, our stable coins, our DEX liquidities, and trying to move in that direction. First of all, you don't pay directly to someone. The liquidity stays within your ecosystem. It helps your TVL. It helps your liquidity across exchanges. We have a perfect application called Rosen. I think we need to help Rosen get more liquidity rather than paying these shady exchanges and agents, right? So this is my take on it. I'm on a completely. So my opinion is to go on a decentralized and just changing in our heads the approach to it and embrace fully decentralized approach going forward.
Yeah, and I think even economically, right? So centralized exchanges is kind of unnecessary medium, right? So when you can on-ramp into chains somehow, right, and then go DEX. Then yeah, why do you need for some centralized exchange? So currently, on-ramp services are using centralized exchanges to get liquidity, right? So when you buy Erg at some swap service, it's calling centralized exchange under the hood, but it's not hard to swap this part, right, with the centralized exchange. And I think, yeah, it makes sense from all perspectives, economically, right, and regulation-wise, and yeah, considering image of centralized exchanges also, and this hacks and yeah, all those things. Then yeah, well, about this Binance stuff, those clones of Hyperliquid. So since we already have breached Binance chain, maybe we can get on those new clones. So supposedly Binance chain folks would help with liquidity a lot and attract users also a lot to them, right? What do you think?
Actually, yes, we need to. We need to explore that option. There is a lot on a decentralized roadmap, so we can talk a little bit about decentralized roadmap and what ideas we have, but we can probably get Ergo listed on Strike on Cardano, RS-Erg. This is also a perpetual exchange on Cardano that is quite interesting project and is developing. So there are so many things to do on the decentralized space. I think the average user still needs a bit education how to deal with decentralized exchanges and overall decentralized environment. So take that self-custody and learn about self-custody. Average user needs to step up on that. But I think that's the clear future, and I see so many things going on a decentralized space. I see no reasons sticking to centralized exchanges unless that's a reputable one like Kraken, for example. Yeah, then yes, KuCoin has been a good partner of ours for now. But all the smaller exchanges like BitGet or HDX or something smaller than that, I see absolutely no reason for us to get into them.
Yeah, for the decentralized exchanges, I think that it's still very early. There's a lot of room for improvement, and where we can onboard users on decentralized exchanges is possibly with MPC wallets. I don't know if there's a right way to do it, because I know Ethereum has deployed a lot on their side with multi-party compute wallets, and just basically make it easy for Web2 people to use their email to maybe just log in. The other part is the off-ramp, right? Someone was saying about the fiat, right? On-ramp, off-ramp, where you have credit cards, where you can use, use somehow credit cards to on-ramp, off-ramp people from the DEXs, or somehow bank integrations. One way we're looking at it is integrating with Revolut. So we've been in touch with Revolut on that regard. Revolut's, if anyone doesn't know, is one of the largest crypto banks per se, and it's not really a centralized exchange. So maybe that's a route. It's still centralized in a sense, so you're still kind of arguing against that aspect of it. But it's more regulated, more reputable, and users are more protected in that sense. So when they do onboard, it's difficult to off delist per se. So I think those are the routes that's potentially there. If we can get decentralized exchanges enough liquidity, I think it's the ideal scenario. The question is are they ready now? How many years are they going to take to get to that point where we can fully accept decentralized exchanges and get rid of these monopolies outside?
One thing on that note, I was actually going to add in, I think one thing I've noticed as well too is a lot of the smaller projects that have a DAO that is an LLC for the foundation. I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous because it's a quote unquote centralized entity, but if you peg it to the main chain and only have it set as the foundational funds, then if any taxes have to be paid, they can be paid through the foundation. Also, too, some of the, like Aleph Zero, for example, which has also been delisted from HTX Global, is what's called a Swiss association. So they're technically not an LLC, but they're able to do LLC activities, and they have the same legal protections that an LLC has. And the way I see this too is kind of like a marriage. Like you can be decentralized from one another, man and wife, right? And you can have a woman with her own social security and own credit score, and then a man with his own stuff. And then you guys can do things like try to be decentralized and like, oh, I can do this with my credit, you could do that with your stuff. But then once you get married, there's a legal obligation there to protect both parties on either end legally. So if anything happens, there's a 50-50 split between the two. Whether or not there's a 50-50 contribution, that's beyond the state of like the legal outlook there. It's basically essentially a protection against, okay, if you want to do this to me, I at least have this form of repercussion because I'm legally standing in one sense. That's why I feel like it's so hard to go after exchanges like HTX and all of the other stuff that are located in like the Seychelles, because there's really no way to be able to go after them.
Oh, well, there is a way to go after them if you seize jurisdiction in a certain region. So the good jurisdictions, possibly Singapore and UK, where you ask the governments or the legal jurisdictions to seize the jurisdiction. That way, you can potentially go after them that route, unless it states specifically in the contract, that they're in the BVI or whatever different island. BVI has a pretty good jurisdiction system as well, but the hardest problem is that they're not really regulated, and that's the problem. Because they're not regulated, it's easier to get away with this kind of stuff.
I did not know that Ergo Fund had an LLC. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, central exchanges don't like signing contracts with anon DAOs, so it gets a little tough. There has to be some entity to be able to do that and take on liability there. Yeah.
We should manage that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, there are options. Was it Montana? Cannon knows better about this. He did some looking into it, where DAOs can actually have a signing power entity kind of thing. So there are options, and it's coming up. And as this kind of stuff develops, it's gonna be more mainstream, I'm sure, in the future. Yeah. Well, guys, it's coming on the top of the hour. This was a great chat. It was good to see everybody here. Keep an eye out for our GitHub. We'll make a big announcement of it soon, where we can just do a dump of this kind of crap and hold these people accountable. That's all we have, right? Is steering with our wallets and voting with our wallets and exposing this kind of behavior that is unethical and racketeering, essentially, right? These guys are running a racketeering scheme. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll probably post the rest of the chat today where they talk about 30K going away for 14 days or 100K for go away forever kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. Krishti, you wanna close out?
So sadly, seems no dev update.
Yeah, we ran
walk through today. So,
okay.
So yeah, next week let's do walkthrough for the 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Maybe if I get some energy, I'll do it this weekend on the side, Krishti.
Yeah, but next week, I'll be in Korea. Actually, there are some ergonauts in South Korea, so we will do some small meetup. Probably we can share some photos, videos, maybe. Let's see. Let's see. But I think it's doable anyway, so it would be like 10 p.m. for me. So yeah, still doable. So yeah, let's do next week then. I think that was absolutely a great chat. So yeah, it's the best maybe from all we had to the moment. But we had like 3, right? So yeah, well,
small pool,
the more the better. But let's make new records then.
Yeah.
In quality of chatting.
Agreed. And one more thing, we're just trying to arrange a time with Mark Greenberg to get him on a quick podcast with Krishti and maybe a few other people. So stay tuned for that. We're just trying to find a time that works for everybody across the world. It's a little tough to schedule things.
Yeah, and I actually think, I can finalize my schedule, maybe today even. But yeah, so it seems like September, the last day of September or September 20th, 20th, yeah, doable. October 1st,
Great.
something like that, yeah.
All right, awesome, guys. We'll see you next week or over the weekend if I throw out another dev update. So thanks, everybody, for joining. It's been great.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.